Hey, my friend, just a 5-minute quickie, something for you to muse, something to think about. And it's all about finding your little shadow and then noticing when you do and you ask a couple of questions, things just seem to disappear. If that's of interest to you, or you think that might be something just to muse with, that's all it is. Something small, nothing big, by the way. Have a listen after this.
Hey, welcome to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast with me, Paul Clough. And this is an FMQ, a 5-minute quickie podcast, which never lasts 5 minutes. It always goes a little bit longer. But it's a chance for you and I just to muse, to think of a subject, to talk about it for a few minutes, and then spend time thinking, seeing how it would change our life if we maybe developed it a little deeper. And maybe sometimes these 5-minute quickies will go into a longer podcast where we can dive deeper and produce processes, hypnosis processes, NLP processes. Don't worry about the names. They're just processes for making our life and your life absolutely better. Getting rid of anxiety, fear, all those other hang-ups and issues that we have, and have the life we deserve and make dreams come into reality quicker, bigger, better than you could ever dream of. But they're the longer podcasts, and this is a 5-minute quickie where we break down the complicated into simple, because in simplicity there's genius, and that's what we do here. So if you want to just think for a little while, see what happens, see what resonates inside you, and when it does, you go change the world. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey friends, welcome to the 5-minute quickie. And this is a thing I saw on a YouTube documentary. And it was regarding a guy doing a documentary on his therapist and the therapy he had. So he's doing a documentary on himself, really. It was really interesting. But there's one thing that really got to me, and it was, this guy said, there's a really easy way of finding your shadow. And people talk about shadows being that part of you down there. Ooh, don't like that. And he said, it's a really simple thing to do. And I'm only going to say this, and I'm a therapist and not your therapist, and things like that. If you're going to just do this, don't pick something which is a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 being the worst it could possibly be. But just notice on something that is, say, 5 or 6 out of 10. 0 being doesn't affect you at all. But just think of a time when you felt maybe some shame. Maybe you felt a little bit inferior. Maybe you felt embarrassed, despondent. You could say depressed, because a lot of people say, I'm depressed, and they're really just a little bit sad, despondent. Or something like that. Maybe you were jealous. You can think of all the things. They don't have to be 10 out of 10s for this, do they? There's just times in the life when you felt a little bit guilty, a little bit this, a little bit that. It's always a little bit this, a little bit that. Because it's just like a lovely little clean-up. It's a part of you, and this is the great bit, I had to write this out in capitals on my little cards. The part of you wished you were not. So I'm that part of me, I don't want to feel shame. I don't want to feel inferior. I didn't want to feel embarrassed. There's that part of me that makes me feel embarrassed. It doesn't make you feel. It's doing something for you, by the way. That didn't come through the documentary, but I really believe that part of you, even though it's, the feeling embarrassed has a positive intention, because you don't want to go through that again. Learn from it. You won't feel embarrassed again. So feeling that feeling of embarrassed has done something for you if you learn, but sometimes we don't. But before you go into all that therapy type stuff, Cluffy, what did it say in the documentary? Sorry, back to the little thread. So the part of you wish you were not. And just ask. When you think about that memory, or that time, that feeling, how does that part feel? How does that shadow part feel? Maybe if you could just see that part of you over there. Just ask it, how do you feel? And here's the interesting question. Ask that part of you. What can I do for you? What can I do for him, for her? Ask that question. What can I do for you? I did this. And I can't remember exactly. I think it was on guilt or something. I can't remember exactly. But that part of me just wanted me, just bloody acknowledge me, Cluffy. Calls me Cluffy, and I call it Cluffy, by the way, or you and I. They just acknowledge me. Because I'm trying to do something for you, and you keep pushing me away. And when you push me away, when I'm trying, and I'm your best friend, trying to do something for you, when you push me away, it hurts. And there's a little conflict. Oh, I feel guilty about that now. But I can acknowledge that part of me is trying to do something, because that's what I teach, that's what I learn. And I truly believe that each part, our unconscious mind, whether it has parts or not parts, obviously wholeness is the best place to be, always has a positive intention. And just acknowledging it. He goes, okay. Wonder what we can learn. Because when you push things away, they just push back harder. Isn't that interesting? I found it really interesting, because it's interesting enough to make a little note about it, and interesting enough to have a chat with you. Remember, therapist, not your therapist, and things like that. And don't do it on anything too big. It's just a way of getting in touch with those little things that go on in your life. Little thing, that doesn't feel too good. So it's not the biggest thing in the world. So if you're in therapy and things like that, just let the therapist do it with you, maybe. Just say, I heard this, what do you think? Might be interesting, see what they say. If it was said to me as a therapist, I'd go, that's interesting. Let's give it a go. That's what I would do. I hope you found that interesting. Just have a play. Because you might notice when you just acknowledge things like that, things just disappear. And it's as if we just learn unconsciously. And we can now go about our daily life. And that feeling doesn't reoccur. When we sit back at the end of the week, go, I did that little work on Monday, didn't I? What's it feel like now? Oh, it's gone. It's always good to think about what you did in the week. Just sort of a review. See where you're going, see where you've been, and see what you did. And then you can just have a sense of gratitude. Gratitude for you for doing the work. Gratitude for your unconscious mind for just being with you all the time. And making the changes you want to be in yourself, seeing yourself and being yourself and seeing others and all that stuff. Anyway, that's a 5-minute quickie. Finding your shadow. Well, not the big shadow, the little shadows. Okay? Have fun with that. And let me know how you get in. Or get on. Let me know how you get on with that. Feedback at personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. There you go. Have fun. It's time to fly.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.